Okay. Hello, this is Ainhoa Manero from Stern Avocados. I'm here with Stacey Taylor. How are you, Stacey?
Hi, I know I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
Fine. Thank you for coming online here to share your experience
Yeah.
with all of our followers. I thought it was very interesting because you have a long path already
Yeah.
in Spain. Because I know you from like 3 years, 4 years ago, I think, but
I
uh,
think even more. Yeah.
even longer. But when I knew you were talking about how you become legal in Spain because you
Yeah.
did an
Yeah.
arraigo that I want you
I
to
did.
share the experience.
Oh.
And a year ago, something like that, we applied for your long-term residency,
Yeah.
European Union one, that we will share also about this because nowadays it's even like the most important application right now because
Oh, really?
if people have any difficulty getting a job here or continuing with a job, they will be able to go to Europe. I know you are fine in your job. You will tell us
Well,
about what you are doing. Maybe it is an
yeah.
idea of a company to apply for a job for those who are following us. But well, let us know a little bit about you, Stacey. How did you come here? It was with an
Yeah.
auxiliar program, or how did you decide to come?
No. So I have been in Spain for almost 12 years. It will be 12
Okay.
years this July. And I came because I did a dual degree. So I actually studied education and Spanish. So,
Wow.
and part of the process to finish your Spanish degree is obviously to study abroad somewhere, that speaks Spanish. And I chose Spain because I had been here previously in high school on a trip, and I loved it, and I wanted to come back. And so I spent the summer of 2007 I spent in Sevilla, the summer in Sevilla studying and practicing my Spanish. And I met a bunch of English teachers, and I said, oh, okay, like I want to come back. And coincidentally, I met a nice man in Madrid, who I'm no
Wow.
longer with, but who convinced me to come back after I finished my studies. So I went back to the US for a year, and I arrived in Spain. No idea about the
As a
paperwork
tourist?
process. I just came as a tourist, and I took a TEFL course and actually a CELTA course to be specific, and I just said, well, I'll figure it out, we'll see what happens. And so I was living with my now ex-boyfriend here in Madrid, and we weren't anything pareja hecho or anything. We were just living together, and I was getting my teaching certification, and I started teaching in some really dirty academies, as we all know.
So without a
And
permit, of course.
yeah, no permit, nothing. Everything was completely under the table. And we looked into every possibility, and the only possibility at that time in 2008 was to get married, because pareja derecho would not give you the working rights.
No.
It would give you like residency to maybe live here, but not working rights. That didn't come until I think 2010 or 2011. And we were about to get married. Like, we went through the entire paperwork, and we split up, and he was still willing to marry me. And I was just, I was young, and I said, no, I'm just going to see if I can figure it out. And at that time, the auxiliary program had just started. So I didn't even really know about it. So I didn't really learn about the auxiliary program till around 2010, 2011, which is, many of us who've been here a long time, we kind of laugh when we kind of laugh at the auxiliaries a little bit, like, oh, you guys don't know. You have so many options. You don't know about the
Yes, and it's
struggle,
true. Now they have so many options. It's true.
I know. And so, yeah, I just literally worked. I found a great little local academy in the outskirts. They knew my situation. They even tried to get me papers several times. We went through lawyers and everything. And, it was just so hard. And I remember a lawyer, he just said, look, your best shot basically is Arraigo. So if you can um, wait it out. And so since I didn't do my empadronamiento until I did the paperwork to get married, I didn't do my empadronamiento till 9 months after I had been living here. So I actually had to wait almost 4 years to apply for my initial arraigo. Long process.
But for example, one clarification for those that you are going to do an arraigo. First of all, arraigo, people don't know really difference between arraigo and modification from a student to cuenta ajena or to cuenta propia. And they think that they prefer it because a lot of people think that with the arraigo you don't need a job offer, and you do. So
you do.
Really, yes. An arraigo is very, very similar to the modification, but worse because they apply for the criminal. You need to bring criminal records, the FBI criminal records. But you already need a job offer, a company that wants to do that, because some people think, okay, I don't do the modification, I stay irregular, so I will do the arraigo. No, but the arraigo, you also need a company willing to do this. Exactly. It's even a little tougher than a modification, because
it really is.
You need to do the informe. Did you do the informe de arraigo and the curso Conoce tus leyes? Already? Okay.
I did that course, yes. Me and my group. And the funny part is that day is when I found out that I needed the FBI background check. No one had told me that. I had just gotten a state, the state of Missouri, where I'm from.
That is a common mistake now.
But they passed it.
Really?
Yeah, so I didn't have it. I didn't have time to get the FBI one. And so I processed it and I said, well, let's just see. At this point, let's just see, and they accepted it. So, yeah.
Good. I know. These things happen and still happen. So I see non-lucrative. I see auxiliares de conversación sometimes in California that they still give the state criminal records and still approve. And this confuse a little people, because when they see that a friend of them or whatever has been approved with that, they think that they don't need FBI criminal records.
FBI one.
And it's not like that. It's that the immigration get a lot of mistakes, but sometimes it's for a better something good, that if they don't see that you didn't apply with the FBI, better for you. But really,
I mean, it's like putting it into context. It's like, oh, I'm from, from Madrid, so I'm only going to give them a Madrid criminal record instead of the Spain criminal record. I understand it. So it was really funny, actually. And the Conoce tus leyes curso was actually really great. I'm actually happy that I took it. And I learned a lot. Actually, everyone was laughing. No one could believe I was there. No one could understand why I was there except the lawyer. The lawyer understood perfectly why this very white, blonde-haired girl from America, was sitting in the crowd. And everyone else, they call it the arraigo. They call it like the cleaning lady, permiso.
Yes, because it's true that this is more usual for cleaning ladies in the past.
Everyone was in mind. What they were basically in that situation. Yeah.
Wow. And now, of course, it is more usual. If you go to immigration, they really know, and they really know about what you are talking about. But it depends. For example, with these new procedures that they came up of practicas or something new, they never know about until 2 years or 4 years after that then they start learning about the people in immigration. So it's crazy, because you go to immigration and you ask about whatever I'm telling that is something new, and they go in immigration, they say that doesn't exist, and it's because they are not very updated. Well, things are like that in Spain. We already know.
I know. So yeah, so I basically was here for I said I'll give myself 5 years, and if I can't get anything, residency or whatever, then I'll go somewhere else. I'll go home or I'll go to another country, whatever it may be. And it just so happened that at 4.5 years, I got my papers and I got a job offer in a private school soon after. And then kind of transitioned into where I am over the course of the next 7 years, basically. Yeah.
Well, great. And well, you did this Arraigo with a company that was willing to do the papers for you. And just to clarify this for people, I think that now, even for a modification, Arraigo, whatever, is going to be even more offers for you because I think that until now, they prefer to hire English citizens because it's easier for immigration. But now with the Brexit, you are going to be all at the same
level.
Yes, at the same level. It's not going to be easier to get a British than a US citizen. And I think that is going to be better for you all because then they will assume that they just have to do the procedure and now are quicker, are easier. We now can do it remotely. So I don't think is going to be a bad situation even now with COVID because people are worried about. I think it's going to be even better because of the Brexit because English teaching is one of the industries in Spain that more jobs are creating and more there is more demand. So the good thing about the job offer is that now the academies are going to sign more freelance contracts for the freelance, but also get more normal employees because normally they had the UK citizens as employees and
everyone else.
The match that they do is signing freelance contract to do the freelance, and now it would be equivalent, I think.
I completely agree with you. I mean, I left the teaching market about 6 years ago, but so many of my friends are still in the teaching market, and so many people still ask me, about it. And I think even with COVID, I see my friends becoming really dynamic, really just creative with how they can create better online resources because, I mean, things are kind of quiet right now and we still have to wait and see what's going to happen. To be honest, no one really knows. But I definitely agree with you. I think there's always a need to learn a language. I'm taking Portuguese classes via WebEx. So I myself am learning a language online.
Good.
My company provides it to me. So I say, hey, it's free. But they also provide English. So I think people need to remember that there's still companies that are providing languages and virtually.
What is your tell about your company, just in case you think it's interesting
not
for
my
people?
Company. Not my company.
Well, the company. What you are doing now? How did you switch from the?
I am not a musician. I'm not a musician. Sorry, our office is our music room. So you have Jimmy behind me. That's my coworker these days.
Okay.
I work for a company as a sector. I work in the biopharmaceutical sector now. So I work in companies that are called CROs, so contract research organizations. And what we do primarily is we manage clinical trials from start to finish. Globally and regionally, locally, I've worked at both levels. I'm now at the international level, the global level per se, and I have worked in the past at the local level in Spain, 40 hours a week in Spanish with the agencias regulatorias and all this stuff, the like ethics committees, paperworks. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Sorry, I'm like trying. So it's a lot of fun. It's a bit madness. It's a really intense sector. I tell people right now we're in like a slow phase because obviously, even my company, I work for a company called Syneos Health. I've worked for other companies. The same. We have about over 800 employees in Spain, I think, and globally, I think around 30 or 40,000, or maybe more. Yeah, I'd have to look it up. But yeah, I work globally, so my team is all over the place. They're in Japan, in South Korea, they're in Australia, they're in Latin America, they're in the US and Canada, all across Europe. So my life is typically something like this, typically a WebEx though. A WebEx call. And yeah, I kind of got into it on a whim. I had a friend of mine who had been working in the sector. She's Spanish, and she said, I think you have the skill set to get into this sector. I got into it. I didn't know if it was going to be right for me. My first experiences were not great, to be honest. And then eventually, I found I'm actually really happy with my current company. I think personally, it's I'm probably going to give them free marketing, but I think they're probably one of the best CROs out there condition-wise for their employees, even considering the circumstances that we're dealing with right now. But yeah, clinical trials they are slowed down because we can't get.
Sorry. Because
No.
I assume if it's so global, you work normally in English. So before you work in Spanish, but now you are working in English? Or?
Yeah, so we have the global teams, and the global teams work primarily in English, obviously. The local teams, obviously, they work as well in English because they're, we're sending them things to do. Their management is all over the world, so their management is typically also in English. But regionally, if they're Spanish and they need to, speak to the doctors, they're going to talk to the doctors in Spanish. They're going to talk to the the nurses and the study teams in Spanish. Yeah.
And do you know if, for example, they do this kind of procedures, immigration procedures for people that they want to hire?
That I don't know. I do know typically that I have a feeling that probably not. I think initially you would have to have the initial permit to get the job. But I do know that, for example, some companies, several that I've worked for as well, if after so many years you want to transfer to another office in Europe, or I know people who transfer to the US as well, you can request a transfer. I mean, when it's a big, multinational corporation, they kind of have that not only that power per se, but maybe even that initiative to move that person to somewhere else, because some headquarters, like we don't have everything in the office here in Spain, so there's some departments that we just don't have that are located out of the UK or maybe out of the Netherlands in Europe, or that are out of the US. So it just depends on the position and the role. Yeah.
So you know that now, because you have the long-term European Union residency, if you like, you could go to the team to the Netherlands and work there. It will be easy for you.
Don't tempt me, Ainhoa. Everyone knows me. They know that
I love adventure.
Everyone knows that if I could live in Spain anywhere, it would probably be Asturias, that I love rain, I love green, and I love a cloudy day, that the sun is too much for me here.
Then Netherlands, it will be perfect.
I know. Don't tell my husband that, though.
Well, but just I'm going to tell you this. You have the responsibility to go to the human resources team and let them know the new procedures, because maybe they don't know that they can hire people now more easily without the permit. And I'm going to send you, and you are now live, and you need to commit that you have to, if they need a very good English level, or I don't know, international experience, they have to know that they can hire anyone who has finished a master or a degree in the last 2 years, but not only in Spain, in their own country, and they come here, they can hire them and have them work in a month. Oi, Stacy.
Oops, can you hear me?
Yes, but I cannot see you.
I know. It's so weird. Let me see.
Now.
Oh, there we
Okay.
go.
So,
Oh,
wait,
no.
Stacy, what happened?
Yeah, I don't know. I am having a lot of technical issues today. Sorry.
Now.
Too many web camera calls.
Yes. Well, so just let them know this, okay? For all of
Okay.
the auxiliar, because normally the people that come as an auxiliar de conversación, not a lot of them want to continue here teaching English. They
No.
want to continue in another kind of job. So we need people
Yeah.
like you already introduced in the work world.
Yeah.
To try to do the path like better for foreigners. So let them know that now is much easier, but much easier than when even you did it. Okay, I know that you didn't do it through them, but just for them to know that they can hire a lot of people now easily. But now, let's review Larga Duración. Do you know that you did it with me, but do you know what is the difference between the national long-term and the European Union long-term residency, or not?
I think if I remember correctly, I think it just allows you to be out more time and be able to transfer to a different country through their residency system. Is that the same? Like if that's right? Okay.
Well, also with the national long-term residency, you can also be a lot outside. You can be 1 year outside. Okay, so that is not a problem. But the really good thing about the European Union one is the transferring part. So imagine now if you have, because you have a stable job, but there are people that are losing their jobs now. So if they have any opportunity in other country in Europe, in the European Union, with a very easy procedure for there, they will be able to get the permits. So, but in order to do this, the first application, you need to have a stable job here in Spain. So we did it with you because you had this job. If you didn't have this job, we wouldn't have been able to apply for the European Union one. We will have.
That's interesting.
Yes, we will have applied for the normal one, the national one, because the national one only just see that you've been here for 5 years and that you didn't were outside Spain for more than 10 months during those 5 years. Be careful with those limits, because it is just only 2 months per year outside Spain in order to be able to apply for the long-term residency. So it's not. You need to be careful, because it's easy to overpass those 10 months in the 5 years. Really, it says outside Spain, but we know that because there are no borders. Normally, if you have been traveling into Europe, they don't know it. It's just going outside Europe when they stamp, so they see that you have been outside. But the main thing is having a job in order to apply for the European Union one. That is why if people is now already working or even in an ERTE, because an ERTE is like a suspension. Yes, it's like you're on hold, but you are not fired. So I advise.
It's like a furlough, right? It's kind of like a furlough.
Exactly. So it is my recommendation, if people can, even if they are applying for nationality, for Spanish nationality or whatever, apply for this, because maybe the Spanish nationality is taking too long, and in the meantime they can go to Portugal. Now Portugal is better than Spain, Portugal or Netherlands or Germany or wherever there is a job, because it seems that every country is doing better than Spain. So
not America. It's okay.
No. in fact, I'm having a lot of consultation from American citizens that they've been fired from one day to another, and they don't really have a lot of subsidies like here, and they are coming to Spain because for them it's more cheap. It's cheaper to be here in Spain with their savings than being in the US with those rent agreements that maybe they in New York they pay a lot for apartments. So that is also a good option if someone wants to come here and come with a non-lucrative, and in the end they can switch to a work permit here whenever they find something interesting. I have had several consultations about that. Well, it's US. It has better things, like when you get a job normally it's better well paid, but like protections against
social protections and unemployment protections. It's really like one day to the next,
Exactly.
Whereas here there's a lot more unions.
So people can come here with a non-lucrative or with a Spanish course in the meantime as a student, and then switch with any kind of permit that they can apply for that are not all. For example, and you can tell this to your human resources company. So here in Spain, we need to choose exactly. We will need to choose like the work permits that are not under the unemployment situation, because Spain is going to suffer also. But there are some paths that are not under the unemployment situation, and even if there is a lot of unemployment, you can apply and it's going to be granted. Which are those? Well, are high qualified worker visa, so anyone that has a degree or a master's degree and have a job offer here. These are the job seeking permit that this is one that you don't know, but someone who has finished here studies, they can apply for 1 year residency to look for a job.
So that's great. That's new, right?
It's new, and it's very good because because in the past people didn't have time to, maybe they came to study a master, and there are very good masters here in Spain, but when they end, they didn't have a way to, if they didn't get a job as soon as they end, they have to go back. So now they give you a 1 year to look for that job or to build up your own project. So it's very good. Maybe someone wants
That's great.
Yes, maybe someone that has to leave the US because they have lost their job. Maybe they prefer to come here to study a master's, think about what they want to do, and then they will also get a 1 year permit to stay here to do their business. I don't know. Entrepreneurship jobs, entrepreneurship visas are also not under employment situation. So I'm also bringing a lot of researchers and people.
Oh, wow, great. That's great.
Yes, because these kind of people have like a lot of ideas and like with innovation, and Spain want to have like high quality immigration. What they don't need right now maybe is people, cleaning ladies, people for construction, because now there is no so much jobs about that, but there is you see in the pharmaceutical world, in the think of innovation, all of these have a lot of
Spain's always had its waves, when I came here, if you were in construction or you were cleaning lady, it was better. You could get it.
Exactly.
And now it's like, well, we have too many. Now we need like all the scientists.
Exactly.
We'll see, right? I know for the past years they've been trying to get Spaniards who left during the crisis, the Great Recession, and trying to bring them back. I know some people have been able to come back.
De talento. So people that really were very well prepared were going to any other country to work.
No, and I know many people. I know people like what you said. I have several friends of mine who did masters at, for example, IE Business School, and
Yeah.
eventually they couldn't find a job within the 3 months that they were allocated with their tourist visa after finishing with their student visa, and then they had to leave. And many of them ended up in the UK, in the US, and Germany.
Exactly.
So
So
yeah,
now,
I'm glad that they fixed that.
yes, so it really is improving. They see what are the bad things about the former laws that they still
Yeah,
there, but they get new laws. So they see for the people that are studying here, for the people
yeah,
that maybe, for example, they came up with the high qualified worker visa, but they were in the end they were asking for very high salaries. So it's not easy to end also to finish a master or to come from the US and get a 40,000 euros job from the beginning if they don't
initially, no,
initially no,
no,
because they don't know you. So
yeah,
it was becoming difficult also for the high qualified worker visas. So in the
yeah.
end, also there is this new that it's called a internship residency. So it's a
Mm.
residency with a work offer, but a work offer as practicas. So
Oh,
already
yeah.
with the minimum salary, they give you the permit. They give you a 1 year permit, even a 2 years permit. So just with a salary of 1,000 or even less, you can get the work permit, and that is something that to begin is easier because for a company to offer this kind of contract and have a native speaker with experience is going to be great. It's going to be
Wow.
even better than hiring a Spaniard because in the end
Hmm.
they need a high level of English. So, for example,
Yeah.
my former paralegal is Sally. That if she's in us, I say
Yeah.
hello. She went to
Hello.
a company that sells everything to the US. They sell tickets, okay? Tickets for
Yeah.
concerts, for everything. So really, they need English speakers because they are
Yeah.
selling in the US. They are working from here because it's cheaper for the company. But
Yeah.
as Spanish, as even if the level is high, is not as professional for them as a native
Yeah.
speaker. So really, there are
Yeah,
a lot of
I feel like everything's relevant, in my company. I always like to remind many of my friends who are foreigners here, don't expect that your job is going to be 100% in English right off the bat. Also know that maybe you do need to improve on your Spanish level. You are still living in Spain, and even though maybe your job requirement might be, to speak in English, I was really grateful for the Spanish level that I had at the time that I was, thrown into the deep end, and I had to work, full time, 40 hours a week, meetings, everything. All of my conversations with my colleagues were all in Spanish. And mostly the things that were in English were things that were coming from up above that were, tasks that I needed to do or to handle. So I feel like there's always, I always like to remind foreigners as well, like, see if you can improve your Spanish level while you're here too, because it's just going to be a benefit to you as well.
of
And it's going
course.
to be a way to sell yourself and to market yourself differently to others. And that's why I'm taking full advantage of Portuguese, because I don't know where I'll be next. Who knows,
Very
So
good, very
we have to
good.
take advantage while we can. Sorry,
It's true that
I do
I
not know how to
think
move this camera.
don't worry. I think, and what I have seen, because I also always have like native speakers in the law firm because we speak a lot in English. And
Yeah.
when people start working in Spanish is when you really improve your Spanish, because if you
Oh
just are
yeah.
with your couple, even if your couple is Spanish, normally you are speaking in English or Span-English or whatever, but working
Oh,
in Spanish is what
Spanglish,
gives you, yes.
definitely.
Yes,
That's
but
my
well.
third. That's my third language.
And how are you
uh,
doing with the Portuguese? Are you enjoying it?
I mean, it's crazy. I can understand so much. And I was actually just in Lisbon for a big conference
Yeah.
right before, everything came to a halt. At the end of February, I was in Lisbon, and I was the only person really in the group who knew some Portuguese. I mean, they all speak English so well over there. And
Yeah,
so I would take advantage
Portugal.
and
Yeah,
practice.
this is because they
But I
watch
mean,
TV in English.
I agree, but also because their language has more sounds, so they have
Yeah,
most of the exact
the
same
vocals.
sounds
Yes.
as in English. So they know the difference between a z and a sh and a ch. They have all of these. In fact, they have more sounds. And I'm always in the class, and I'm like, I'm saying it. I know I'm saying it. He's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. And I'm like, you know. But no, I really enjoy it. I can understand a lot more than I can speak. But as you know, that takes practice.
Perfect. For those of you who are listening and are Sephardic, you know that there is a law in Portugal, because in Spanish is not in Spain is not anymore. Who, if you are a Jewish, your family were Jewish, and they went out of Portugal, there is a law now to get the Portuguese nationality for these Sephardic Jewish people. So
Oh,
if some of the people that is listening to us knows if they have origin from the Jewish, maybe they can apply for the Portuguese nationality. We are doing those because in
oh
Spain,
wow.
yes, in Spain there was also this law, but it's
Did they
not.
finish it?
Yes, they finish it, but in Portugal
Oh,
continue, and it's
yeah.
even better because they don't have the exam, the language exam, because for Spain they had to do an
Yeah.
Spanish exam, but for Portugal no, maybe because they understand better the English, so it's even
Their English
better.
is incredible. Yeah.
So
I
that's
only
why I
met
think
one
there is no
woman.
exam.
Yeah, I only met one old woman who did not speak English. So
Wow,
that's it.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if you have any recommend. If not, we will go to some questions that there are, if there are any. But if not,
Yeah.
any recommendations to those who are watching us that normally are like starting their immigration procedures or seeing how they
Ooh,
do?
patience.
Patience.
Lots and lots of patience. I always expect the worst, which is very funny. I mean, my husband is a funcionario, which and so he's like, no, just don't worry about it. And I'm like, you have never been to a luce. You don't know. You just don't know the struggle. I remember taking my papers and this woman telling me, no, you're missing this. You have to come back in 3 months. So I had to come back in 3 more months. And I almost got her again, but the nice women around me, they actually moved me behind them so that way I wouldn't get her in line. And I got some young guy, and he was like, yeah, you're fine. And I was like, did I need this? Did I need this? He's like, no, 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 you didn't need it. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, thank God I did not get that woman again. So I don't
Yes,
know, just
and this is
patience.
very unfair because depending on the person that really takes
I
your papers,
know.
they ask you one thing or other. So it's really unfair because sometimes I also explain it and they are angry also to me, and I understand it that hey, I was
Yeah.
trying to get this paper so badly and then they didn't ask for it, and I say,
Yeah.
look, but this is because someone didn't ask for you, because if someone else wanted, it will be 3 more months until you got it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
in Spain, they are
I
not
mean,
very. It depends a lot in the person that gets your
yeah.
procedure.
Yeah, I also just feel like it depends on the information that they are given and retained, but that's in any big company. In my company, we have similar issues with our procedures. There are some people who are like, oh, well, we do it this way. And it's just because there's so many procedures, you're trying to memorize them all that it can become a bit overwhelming. And I understand. So, I mean, just patience and know that it's easier now than it was when I did it. So I figure if my generation, if we can do it, you can do it. That's my old lady expression.
And yes,
I also
exactly. It's like you are speaking to your granddaughters.
You will be fine. I also just think like calm down, take it day by day. That's all you can really do, especially with what's happening right now. Um, and also see what opportunities are out there. I always, a lot of people I know are in the marketing world, they're in the tourism sector, and I understand those are really easy sectors for native English speakers to fall into. But there's a lot of other great things that not only just Spain, but I mean, Madrid and Barcelona have a lot of different sectors that require maybe potentially, yes, a native English speaker to help them, especially with their business abroad. So I don't know. I just, look at what's out there, apply to everything. I mean, I applied to every job position I could think of. And I got into the industry through a friend per se, but she didn't recommend me or anything. She just sent me a link and I applied for the job, and that was it. So
yes,
I think,
just told you that there was a job opening there.
yeah, well, she said, well, maybe you should check out my sector, because I said I was tired of what I was doing then. And she saw something, she sent me the link. I applied for that. I applied for many other roles that were the same, but for other companies, and I ended up getting that job. I just also think make friends who are out of the English teaching sector, maybe, have some friends who do other things. Like I have friends who work in startups. I have friends who work in marketing companies or in marketing agencies. I have friends who work in finance. I have friends who, are full on legal translators. Sometimes they even do it live directly on TV. I know producers, TV producers,
Wow.
movie producers. So, I mean, it's just get out there, because there's a lot of options, but you have to, the way it is and the way it is everywhere, I'm realizing, because I have friends who did move back to the US after teaching here for umpteen years, and they struggled to find a job. It took them over a year to find a job. So don't think just because you're American you can go back home and you'll be able to find something. I mean,
And especially
we're
now.
I mean, I'm the generation that I graduated, and a few months, the recession hit. So I think you really have to be open. You have to adapt. We're not going to be doing the same thing for forever. I don't know how long I'm going to be in this industry. I really like it. I'm learning a lot and I'm getting a lot of skill sets, but I don't know where I'm going to be 10 or 20 years from now. And with the new recession that will probably come from COVID-19, we really have to stay open, and you need to make those connections. And don't just make them just to make them. I mean, it's always great to have a circle around you of people who are doing different things than you. I mean, I love my colleagues, and we have a little group, and it's great. But it's also nice to not talk about my job,
Yes,
not
and to
talk
see
about my
what is
industry for a while.
happening around, and that there are more industries that we don't even have thought about, right?
Oh, I mean, my industry is huge because, like, we're just one provider. We work typically with a pharmaceutical company, but sometimes government agencies or universities can hire us as well to do the trials. But we also have a marketing department. It's not typically in Spain, but many of these companies have a marketing department. They have a production department. We also work with vendors who provide machinery and materials to the hospitals, who work with database systems. I mean, there's just so much. I have a friend of mine, a really good friend of mine. I never even thought about this, but she literally works in online payment systems. She's a
Wow.
programmer, and she deals with how we pay online. That's her. And it's incredible. Like,
But
there's
in
just
your
so
own
many options out
company.
there. No, this is
Okay.
another
In
company,
an,
but she's a friend of mine here in Madrid.
exactly.
And it's the same. There are a lot of different options, but you just have to stay open-minded, and talk to people, and see what else is out there,
Yes, and don't think, okay, I don't have a work permit, then they are not going to hire me, because I see
No.
in my situation, I see two different, very different kind of attitudes. Is like people, okay, what I need, okay, I understand it, and they go, they explain it, or they email me and they tell me, hey, can you explain it to them, that is easy, that they can hire me, and some others that they just tell me, hey, this was so easy to get a job of high qualified worker. I will stay at my country. No, there are different kind of attitudes, and this is a very, I don't know, it's very good, because you are encouraging people to just see around and be looking for a job,
Yeah.
and apply and apply and apply, because it is just try and try until you get it. And once you get it, it comes easier, everything.
It's called life. It's called being an adult.
Exactly.
I will get real with people. I know. I like to get real with people because sometimes, especially, I have many friends of mine who are auxiliaries or who were auxiliaries, and they get in their little, like their bubble. And I'm like, we all get in our bubbles, but you guys are in a special bubble. And I really just want to like pull you guys out and be like, there are a lot of other things that you could be doing. It's not to say, I'm very much like, hey, I have friends of mine who are in some difficult situations right now, and they don't think that they're going to be able to jump from being an auxiliar yet. And I said, well, if you need to stay to be an auxiliar to provide for yourself, then that's what you need to do. And I completely understand that. I was in English teaching a lot longer than I thought I would be, but I did it because I needed to provide for myself. So, be patient. I mean, I've been in Spain for 12 years. This didn't happen overnight. And I had several years where I was crying. I didn't know what I was going to do. I would have nervous breakdowns whenever I needed to go to Aluche. Jesus, that drove me nuts. And then finally I was like, okay, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I'm paying money and I'm going to let Ainhoa and her people do it. Because I can't.
Yeah, for the last procedure, for the European Union long-term residency.
I mean, well, the initial one was the hardest. The renewals after that were pretty easy, the ones in between are really easy, but this one was like a new process.
You are working, because I have some people now that are a little nervous because they have lost their jobs, and I understand it, but if you are working, it's even easier.
I mean, I was unemployed once when I renewed, not for the Larga Duración, but I was unemployed. I've been unemployed in Spain twice, not for long periods of time, but one time it was when I was renewing for one of my interim renewals, and I was worried as well, but they were like, you've proven that you have the job, and I got the renewal.
Very good, very good.
Yeah, so I think in Spain, it's like, if you just prove, like, I've been working, I've been contributing, I got fired, but it's not my fault, no one's like, oh, I want to get fired today, and so the government knows that, and they know, okay, this person might be on paro, but they paid into it. This is my insurance policy. It's my money.
Very
good. Yeah, exactly. And so, okay, well, but the thing is that this person might be able to find a job and then be contributing back again with their IRPF very soon. So, and now trust me, they get a lot of IRPF from me, so they should be thankful for renewing me,
It's true. That is that you are doing well. And just for remind, and we will go to questions, is that maybe you are not, it's not mandatory for you to do the RPF declaration because you don't reach the minimum, but maybe it's worth it for the people to do it because they get the evolution. So sometimes
I got some money back.
Really? Good.
Yeah. Well, I owed for a few years because, when you transfer to a new job, sometimes they keep the tax low.
Exactly, yes.
And if you don't catch it, then the next year you got to pay. So I had to pay last year, so they owe me now.
Well, that is good. Now you will have some extra cash that you didn't count on it.
That's it.
Okay, let's see. We have some questions, but you were very, very informative. But let's see, Samson, what he says. I studied my master here in Spain for 2 years. I am now in my first year of my PhD. Please, will I be able to apply for my Larga Duración by the year 2022 instead of renewing my visa? So what I need to know is what kind of residency you have with the PhD.
Yeah.
There are several residencies to apply for. So PhD, you can have a researcher, a high qualified worker visa, maybe. The normally is the researcher one. If you already have gotten the first residency, it is the main thing to count, because what you cannot do is switching for a student visa to Larga Duración. So even that they ask for 5 years and that the student time counts as 50%, you cannot be here for 10 years as a student and apply for Larga Duración Unión Europea. What you will need is to get a residency, and then with the residency, even if you only had the residency for 2 months, doesn't matter. It will be okay if you reach all the time of the adding up the student visa in 50% and the time of residency. If you add up the 5 years, it will be okay. Remember, for example, Samson had a master's until 2019, so he could have applied for the seeking job residency that I told you about. They give you a 1-year residency, and it's already residency. It's not a student visa anymore. So it allows you to start counting towards those Larga Duración Unión Europea for those residency and add the student time.
I know a question. So for his case, potentially, if he did this new residency that I didn't know about, the one that's like the internship one after studying. So how does the renewal work? Because I know the Arraigo and the modificación renewals, but I don't know how this one works. Is it the same? So do you have to renew it a year and then every 2 years after?
It's different. It's a very good question. So there are two things if you have finished, okay, your degree or your master's degree. One is the búsqueda de empleo, so seeking job, that they give you 1 year, okay, 1 year residency. And it's very similar to get the 1 year Arraigo or the 1 year whatever, because after the 1 year, during that 1 year, you can switch to internship one, okay, and the practicas. So the practicas can give you or only 6 months because your contract is only for 6 months to 2 years because the contract can be for 2 years. So directly you can switch to 2 years. So now with high qualified workers and with practicas depends in the duration of your contract. That will be the duration of your residency. Normally, but what is good is to switch from high qualified worker visa or for the practicas one to the normal law, the one that you are. Why? Because you are not attached to the company. With the internship one or the high qualified worker visa, you are attached to the company. But after a year of whatever of those residencies, you can switch to cuenta ajena or cuenta propia, whatever you are, and you start counting like the first year, then 2 years, then 2 years,
and then
residency. And the good thing about that is even that you lose your job or switch jobs, it doesn't matter. With the other ones, it matters because it's to the employer. So very good question.
But in general, you just need to prove that you've been in Spain for 5 years, right? I think that you've been working, you have had residency for 5 years, and obviously that you have a job.
Or less, because if they were a student for 2 years, for example,
that counts.
It counts in a 50%. So 2 years of a student is like 1 year of residency. So just 4 more years of residency. And the student time, it's great. It's good because a lot of people come here at least for 2 years of auxiliar de conversación. Is very usual.
Yeah.
Maria, are there more? Okay. Cristina says, hello, my T expires 31st of May, but my work wants to offer me a work visa in October. I'm looking for what I can do short-term to stay here legally until October. The foreigners office told me to apply for búsqueda de empleo, but I have heard that is not correct and I'm not eligible for this. Any advice? Well, I need to know what kind of tier you have. So, okay, it's ending in May. But what have you studied? If you have studied a degree or master's degree, you can apply for búsqueda de empleo. And I have been for 3 years on a student visa, 2 years as a language assistant on a student. The past year, I renewed by student visa by studying Spanish. Okay, got a work permit to continue teaching English. Okay, with a Spanish course, you cannot get the búsqueda de empleo. You can get it with this master that is from Alcalá, for example, that there is a master of teaching teaching English for Spanish and all this, that you can get it. But just with a language course, you will not be able to get a búsqueda de empleo. What I recommend you in order to get that extra time is extending your course. Do a prórroga de estudios for whatever, 5 months more, and then you will be able to switch to the job offer. But remember, it is just so for the internship job, for the residencia por prácticas, you need to have a degree or master's degree in the last 2 years and a job offer related, okay? And I don't know from the information she said, I don't know if she has a degree or a master's degree in the last 2 years. Because if not, I think she wants to do the modification, the normal modification from a student to work permit. So if that is the case, do a prórroga de estudio for until October, and then you modify. And the good thing about the modifications now, Stacey, really it is because of the COVID, but I don't know if they're going to extend that everything is electronically. So you don't have to go anywhere. So everything is online. Oh, well, to the fingerprints you have, but the application, the previous applications, you don't have to go anywhere. It's everything electronically. So it's much better to do the modification.
Maybe this will force Spain to do this for forever.
I said that the COVID for immigration was much better to like evolve quicker with this kind of procedure, because it has no sense. We all have like digital certificates, everything to do it online, and then with immigration we have to go and lines of 100 people to do appointments. It's not normal. And now for this in immigration is much better. With COVID, they are resolving quicker. We are applying quicker. So it's great. I hope they continue this way.
I hope so too.
Maria, some more questions. Okay, Melissa says, I had a question regarding the 5-year requirement for the long-term European Union visa. If I received my first work residency visa via Arraigo Social in 2017, now completing my 3rd year, is my time on a student visa 2014 to 2016 void? Usually it was not, but I have seen recently some of resolutions that counted. If you are asking in immigration and they are not telling you, because the tasa is very, very small to apply for this, it's like 15 euros, I think it's worth it to apply. So worst case scenario, okay, they will tell you that you don't comply and you continue with your residency, because it's true that before I was saying that not, but I seen like some that they have been approved. We never know if they haven't checked it correctly or if they have changed criteria. So of course we can try to ask for immigration, but sometimes they don't ask, and when it's so cheap to apply, like it is 15 euros, I think it's worth it to try it and get it if they approve it. And if not, it doesn't have any bad consequences. It just have the consequences of telling you, no, still waiting. You can do it in 2 years, and that's all. So in this case, I would try it. Good question.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Knowledge says, hola, I'm in Spain with a non-lucrative. Do I have to file an IRPL although I have no income earned in Spain since I cannot work here? I have passive income from property rental in Philippines. Well, this is a very good question because there is a lot of confusion. You need to declare taxes, okay, whenever you are here 183 days, okay? That doesn't mean that you have to pay taxes, because of course declaring doesn't mean to pay. So in these cases, I always recommend you to ask for a gestor, or even better, a tax advisor. It depends. There are gestores that knows a lot. The main thing is that they know a little about international agreements, showing that if you are paying in Philippines or in the US or wherever, you don't have to pay here, or the other way around. We can recommend you some tax advisors, but the main thing that you need to have in mind is that being here 183 days means that you are tax resident. Doesn't mean that you have to pay, but it means that you need to declare. So if this is your first year and you came before June, because if not, you are not going to reach the 183, you should do the declaration. And a lot of people don't know this and don't do it. They don't do it, but it is mandatory to do it. I haven't seen any bad consequence about doing it, but for people that really want to do things properly, it is good to do it.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
let's see.
The series says,
Right.
with a residence, Larga Duración from Italy, permiso, yes. Can I work in Spain without an authorization? No, but it's very, very simple, okay? You just have to show here in Spain, it is a very simple procedure, showing or that you have a job offer here in Spain, that will be great, or that you have financial means and small financial means, and they will give it to you. So now, for example, it will be difficult to get any kind of residency if you don't go through the ones that are not under the employment situation. But if you have a European Union from Italy, it's going to be the same, easy for you. Just show your job offer or your project if you are going to do it, and you are going to be fine. It's going to be approved, and you can do it remotely. As Stacey like.
Oh, thank goodness.
Maria, yes, Marco says, to renew the non-lucrative after the first year or to request citizenship from a legal perspective, are there communities or cities more convenient than others to reside in? Is it different? No, it's not different. It shouldn't be different. It's true that sometimes I see that sometimes Valencia, that we have a lot of clients, is problematic and takes time, but really the requirements are the same. But for example, it's Madrid doesn't put any trouble if you show the bank certificate from the US because you have your savings in the US. Valencia sometimes put problems if your bank certificate is from the US, but it's just because the immigration office is more picky. They shouldn't ask you for a bank certificate from here, but in the end, I try to, if you can, I try to give them whatever they prefer, just not to argue with them. But for example, Madrid is more open with that. But besides of that, every city is the same, and the law is the same for the whole country. But it's true that, for example, freelancer permits are quite more difficult in Barcelona than in Madrid, for example, and in Andalusia are more or less good, are okay, because we see differences. But good question. Christina says, is the TA being extended through COVID? If my student visa TA expired 31st of May, it is going to be extended for the amount of time we are stable for. Yes, very good. We'll have time to apply for the short student visa until I can apply for the work visa in October. Well, the thing is that it's going to be extended. So if it expires during COVID, they give you this extra time that the estado de alarma has last. But be careful with that and how they are going to count that. So of course, because you can do it also remotely, I recommend, even they are extended, and it's true, it's on hold, and they are going to give you 2 more months, okay? If you can do the renewal, just in case, I feel more comfortable. It is true that for sure, the law is clear. It is extended 2 more months from the time of the COVID, the estado de alarma is not expiring. So whenever this starts again, the time will start counting. So more or less you will have 2 more months, more or less, but that they really need to see that, because even that the time is on hold, your NIE is going to expire after the estado de alarma ends. So if if it's end now the 20th and your NIE is expiring the 31st, even the time we're on hold, it were on hold for the permits that were expiring, but your NIE can expire after COVID, after the estado de alarma. So they can think that that you have the time to renew it. So
I forget how much time afterwards. I think everyone gets 60 or 90 days after the window.
After the window, so times are on hold. So after the window, they will have the extra time, of the duration of the estado de alarma. But in any case, they are doing emphasis in this is for times to be on hold for expirations. But if it's not expiration, because this then, if someone in May can do it in June, means also that someone in June can do it in September. So
and get ready for that backlog. That backlog is going to be crazy. I think people need to remember that. I mean, I have 2 neighbors of mine who work in several different ministerios, and sometimes they don't have all the technological systems that they would have at work, at the office, that they need to have at home. So I think to have that in mind as well too, because every sector is going to be suffering. Those of us who work with paperwork, we're all going to be suffering these backlogs and trying to get through them. So I think have that in mind as well too. Don't put it off.
Yeah, if you can, don't, because you can do it with your digital certificate. I know that what you want to do is avoid getting a new course. I know that. But they haven't clarified. So, of course, people are not losing the right to do the renewal, and they will have this extra time. But because your NIE is going to expire after the estado de alarma, if we don't get another prórroga, maybe it's not that clear, okay, that you will get. So for sure, you know that you have 3 extra months. But in any case, that doesn't mean that you will be able to apply for a new permit 3 months after. I see it very risky. I see it very risky. I will do the application for a course of 3 months. I tend to go to the safer option, because in my place, I always see the problem. So when people come to my office, normally I see they come because they have problems. So I see always when things go bad. And that's why I always try to be with the safer strategy.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Okay, Tirna says, what the main benefits between European Union Larga Duración and the Spanish Larga Duración, apart of eligibility to stay work around the European Union for the European long residency? There are no many others. Okay, that is the main difference, because the other, you know that both of them are like permanent. It's like for your whole life. So the thing is that even if you live for 10 years and you go back to the US, whenever you want to come back, you will be able to apply for it. So it's true that the European Union one allows you to be outside for 2 years without losing it, and the other one is just for 1 year. But it doesn't make a difference, because it's just applying, getting it again. So really the main difference is being able to work outside.
Yeah.
Melissa says, Stacey, I missed the first few minutes of this chat. Where is that you work? What I did
everyone so nice. Yeah, it sounds so nice until you actually have to work, right? No. Yeah, so I work in the biopharmaceutical sector. So the names of these types of companies, there's a general title, is a CRO, a contract research organization. And typically what we are is we're kind of like, we're a middleman between the pharmaceutical companies and, government institutions or universities, but primarily we're working with pharma who want to have a clinical trial. Like right now, I know our company is working with some COVID-19 trials. I mean, it is what it is. We need to hurry up. We need to get it out there, and so we manage the trial. So what does that mean? I mean, to do a trial is so much paperwork. It's like all my years of extranjeria and trying to get my papers in Spain trained me for this job.
To the bureaucratic area.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So there's so much paperwork. There's so much databasing. If it's the rule of thumb is if it's not in writing, it didn't happen. And you need to be able to prove every single thing that happened during a clinical trial, because you're dealing with human, especially when you're in the human phase, you're dealing with human lives and safety and patient safety. And so there's a lot of different roles in different departments in these companies. Some are more, so I mean, if you have a science background or a medical background, great. I do not. So I'm more on the admin side, but there's always room for growth, and you can I've learned so much, and I've definitely considering, it's not official, but I'm definitely considering maybe doing a master in public health, because I think, especially after what's happening right now with COVID, we're seeing more and more that these jobs are super essential. They're crucial. And hopefully moving forward, it's going to be, a sector that I really do hope gets more investment, not just from the private sector, but also from governments around the world. So yeah, the name of my company that I work for is Syneos Health. Please do not be writing to them being like, Stacey told me to get a job with you. No, man, like, you do your own thing, but but like, there are many other CROs out there. Don't think that we're not. I know people who have lost their jobs, typically because they were contracted through, like, with this, like, they were just contractors, the freelancers, so they weren't in-house. And I do know several friends of mine in other companies. I mean, they are suffering, some furloughs, or, they're having some reductions. So I think, it just depends. If you think you can manage a big corporate job with a lot of procedures and a lot of processes, and it's really high and it's intense. I mean, our regular pace is 200%, and we're like 100 right now, and I feel like I'm on vacation. So I think you need to have this in mind. But I do think it's a great sector. I'm really happy that I got into it. So yeah, I mean, if you're looking into that, check out the biopharmaceutical sector.
In any case, this is going to be recorded, so
I
know we can go to the beginning and see the name. Sorry, Stacey.
Don't worry. No, I'm gonna like pre-warn my head of human resources.
Okay,
Sorry.
Maria, the two last questions that we have to let Stacey go for dinner.
Yeah.
If there are any questions, maybe there are not. Okay. I see here, well, one question from Gustavo. It doesn't, wait, let me, how I.
Oh, wait, you had it. There you go.
Oh, yes, I don't know what's happened. Okay, well, this is very, very different. He's from Venezuela. He's going to get a denial from an asylum, because a lot of people that are applying for an asylum just as a way to get a work permit in 6 months, but it's not going to be approved. And should I keep that planning or consider 1.4? Depends on how you think how long it's going to take for the denial. If you can compare with other people in your more or less at the same time that you apply for, because really if it took for you, if you have been waiting for very, very long, it is better to wait, because now you have a work permit and everything, so it's better to wait. But if you are in the very beginning and you don't really need to work right now, and you can wait, it's better to leave the asylum and consider the 1.5. That is, this Stacey, the 1.5 is like a residency for extraordinary circumstances. So Venezuela is living extraordinary circumstances, and Argentina is starting to live similar circumstances. So well, people apply for an asylum in like just to be semi-legal here, but it's not
Yeah.
the best option if they can do something else, because they take out the passport from them. They cannot travel.
Yeah.
So sometimes there are better options than
Oof.
those, and this is what he's thinking. So just seeing how long it's going to take for you and decide. Well,
Yeah.
Stacey, thank you very much. Did you
Thank
enjoy it?
you. Yeah, this is fun. My first live stream. Sorry for like all the technical difficulties and
Don't
Jimi Hendrix in
worry.
the background.
You have a very beautiful Spanish living room.
No, this is not my living room. This is our
Anna?
office
Okay,
slash
okay.
like music room. So
But
yeah.
the office in your job place?
No, in my apartment. In my apartment.
Okay, in your
Yeah.
apartment. Okay. Well, very
Yeah.
nice, very nice. Okay, so you are working remotely, right?
I mean, I was already able to work remotely. I was already working from home 2 days a week anyway, so it was a pretty fluid switch.
Okay.
But and luckily, in general, most of our employees, we have like many people work from home in our sector, because really your livelihood is Outlook and your connection to internet and a lot of different platforms and systems. So yeah, it's been a smoother process, I think, than some other people I know, like some of my neighbors who they'd never worked from home ever before. And some of them, they're struggling because they have small children. We don't have any small children. This is the things that make the most noise in the house are the guitars behind me. So like we're very lucky in that sense. So I think right now it's just patience, but yeah, I'm just grateful that I can go outside for a walk again. So that's the little things.
The
Yeah.
little things,
Yeah.
beautiful things from life. Okay, well,
Yeah.
thank you very much for sharing with
Thank you
us
for
your
having me.
experience. I'm
Thank
sure
you.
that people are now like with another view of how they can search, look for a job or whatever. Please, if
Yeah.
you want to repeat any day, we can repeat in whatever, in 2 months or whatever. We can do another
Oh,
one, or any other that you think that is interesting to talk. Let me know, and we can do another one that I enjoyed a lot.
well,
Like,
I will probably be going for my nationality soon, so we
really?
can definitely talk about that. Yeah.
Of course.
We did Arraigo, and I was already in the process of renewing with you, but my now husband and I, we eloped. So technically, I could have gotten the residency card for being his
Family.
wife, but as the independent
Yes,
woman that I am, I said
of course,
no, I
of
want
course.
my own, you
Very
know.
good.
Thank you. And so, but obviously legally now we've been married for more than a year, so I have the right to apply for nationality. So maybe we can bring that up in the
Yes,
future. I
and
don't know. I
talk
still have to take the
about
test and all that. So
very good. And talk about the difficult. It's difficult to understand. You need to resign to the U.S. citizenship, but really,
I know.
this is for Spain because the U.S. Doesn't recognize that, and
Nope.
it is
No.
it is difficult for people to understand. So it's very interesting. We could talk about that whenever you want to start doing it. We can start doing it,
Yeah.
and we share your experience and your doubts and everyone's doubts. Okay.
Okay. Thanks so much, Ainhoa.
Thank you, Stacy. Stay safe.
Take care. You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.